playing with ground bait, I'm going to be using Sonny Bait's S-Pellet ground bait as the base mix because it's very fine, and when fishing for crucians your best bet is to use a fine ground bait. You just literally ground down pellets and it's very fishy smelling mix, quite meaty as well actually. Lovely, lovely ground bait for Crucian Carp. I'm also going to be adding to it some of this, which is Sonny Bait's crushed halibut pellet. Sorry, I had to look at the label then. I'm not going to be adding too much of this because, as I said, for Crucian Carp we want a very fine mix. But rather than keep feeding in pellets, I'm going to be using this, which is crushed halibut pellets. As I just said, it's literally just very, very fine crushed up pellets. So if I add that to that mix, that'll give me just that extra bit of flavour and that extra bit of texture from. So yeah, I won't be using too much of this today, but that'll definitely be going in the mix. Now, these are 6mm and 8mm pellets. I would be putting 2 or 3, literally 2 or 3 in the mix. That's just because I want a little bit more flavour, a little bit more oil in the mix. Like I said, you want fine things, you know, fine mixes for crucians. These definitely won't make the mix very fine, but will add that extra bit of flavour and oil. I'm mainly going to be using these for my carp fishing today, just to scatter them around where my hook bait is, because I am going to put a carp sleeper rod out. But yeah, we'll give them a go. Very good mix of pellets I've got in there. They're not just the halibut marine pellets, there are omega pellets in there, there are koi swim stim pellets in there, and there are halibut pellets in there, as you can see on the packet. Anyway, we'll give it a go, see if we can catch a fish with it. Right, now for the mixing. Rather than using a ground bait bowl, I'm going to be using this chocolate tin. It's a lot cheaper and the bait won't get stuck in the sides, unlike using a bait box. Into the corners, sorry. Just going to start off by pouring a generous helping of the S-Pellet ground bait in. As you can see there. Then, I'm going to add a little bit of this halibut crush. Don't put too much in, just a small amount, like that. Right then, before adding the water, it's very important, mix the dry ingredients together. Don't add water straight away, otherwise it just doesn't work as well. Just want to mix all those dry ingredients in together. You may add a little bit more of that halibut crush, just to give it a bit more texture. Just mix that in nicely. So there you can see I've got a very fine ground bait, with just the odd little bit of crushed halibut pellet in there, just to give them something else, like something else to home in on, and to give them a little bit more, just give the mix a bit more oil, a bit more texture. Right, we'll add a bit of water to that, and should be ready. Right, got the water. An important thing to do when mixing ground bait is not add too much water at once. We're going to add a little bit. Then mix it in nicely, just get that spread out around the mix. Thing is, you can always add water, but you can never take it out, so it's best to add little and often until you've got the perfect consistency. So that's too dry at the moment, add a bit more water. Now I don't want this mix too dry, because I want it to get to the bottom and break down. I don't want it to cloud straight away in the water, because I want a nice carpet of bait on the bottom, not a cloud mix. The lake is quite cold today, so there's no need to have a cloud mix. That's almost there now. Need a bit more water. We should almost be there. And you want it so you can have a nice, so you can form a nice ball of ground bait in your hand, but you also want to be able to break it down easily. So I can form a ball, but it's not quite there yet. A little bit more and then we'll be there. I do find you want to add a little bit more than you want, because when you're setting up your tackle or in between putting in balls of ground bait, the ground bait will often dry out. You want that little bit more just to stop it from drying out and keeping it the correct consistency as you want it. And I think it's just about ready now. Yep, there we go. Perfect. See, it just breaks down. Lovely. So what I'll do is add a tiny bit more water, like I said, to stop that from drying out so easily. And there we go. Some perfect Crucian ground bait. Lovely. Now what I'm going to do, I'm going to put the lid on top of this, because as it's a chocolate tin it comes with a lid, which is quite handy to stop that from drying out too much. Then I'll set up my pole and I'll cup some out into the swim. I'll show you me doing that in a minute, in case none of you know how to cup out bait. Just be fishing tight to the reeds, and yeah, we'll see what happens. Right, I've found my desired length of pole, and I've just taken the top two cupping kit sections off with the cup screwed on. As you can see, we've got the ground bait we made up earlier. So what I'm going to do is just take a smallish ball of this, a smallish ball, like that. Just place it into the cup. Make another smallish ball. This ground bait might need another bit of water because, as I said, it does dry out. There's two balls in there. I'm going to be putting 4 balls of bait out into my desired spot. Now I feel when fishing for Crucian Carp, you have got to be deadly accurate with your bait placing. That's why I feel the pole's the best way to target them. You want to have a very nice tight little bed of bait around where you're fishing. So we'll put this out exactly where we want it, and I'll do that another time, one more time after this, and then there'll be enough ground bait out there for now, and I'll cup out about half a cup of maggots and maybe a few pellets and some corn. Right. Now the key when shipping out is to keep it all very steady. If you jog and jiggle it around, the contents in the cup can often spill out. You don't really want that. So really slow, really steady, really purposeful. Also the key is not to put too much bait in the cup, because that can make it all quite flimsy, and often the pole can bend a lot. Then where you're fishing with your hook bait can be completely different to where you put in your ground bait. There we go, lovely.